Onko ketään, joka ei osaa englantia? Anybody who doesn't know Finnish? Okay, so we don't need a Finnish translation.
Just in case somebody is asking questions, then.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for giving this opportunity to serve in the mission of Guru and Gauranga, and taking some time to come on this auspicious day to temple. Today's topic is quite complex. Even I thought it was simple, but I found it quite complex. So I've tried all my efforts to make it simple to understand, but if there is still some difficulties or something, so it's totally my fault. So I'm already apologizing in behalf of the beginning. So before we actually go into the topic, I wanted to show you one video so that you get the background of what we are talking about. We are talking about Advaita Acharya Prabhu's appearance day. So what was the background? It starts with that.
Is sound coming already?
What's that? Is it coming?
Yeah. You put volume in your...
At the end of Dwapara, Mother Earth
I'm
is
so sorry.
stressed due to sinful activities of mankind.
Teething problems.
Navadvip before Nama's advent. In Satya Yuga, near the banks of river Ganges, Sadanand asks his father Gautam Rishi, "Please instruct me about the various Yuga avatars, especially in Kali Yuga." Gautam Rishi replies, "At the end of Dwapar Yuga, Mother Earth, distressed due to sinful activities of mankind, takes the form of a cow and approaches Lord Brahma and pleads before him to find a way to relieve her burden. Lord Brahma, along with the demigods and Mother Earth, comes to Lord Vishnu to express Mother Earth's distress. They hear Lord's divine voice from the milk ocean. 'Dear demigods, do not worry. I have planned a beautiful, munificent avatar of a devotee for the purpose of establishing Yuga Dharma of Nam Sankirtan. I will appear as the son of Mother Sachi.' Lord Vishnu further says, 'Dear demigods, you must go there before me and take birth as devotees to assist me in my pastime to deliver the fallen souls.' There are different dharmas in different ages. In Satyug, Dhyan. Treta Yuga, performance of yagyas. Dwapar Yuga, deity worship. And Kali Yuga, Sankirtan Yagya. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Nimi inquires from the Nav-Yogendras about the Yuga avatars. They reply, "In Kali Yuga, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting of the holy name. The incarnation of Godhead in this age is golden in complexion, and his weapon is Harinam. Anticipating the advent of the Lord, the town of Nadia, favored by goddess Lakshmi, grew very prosperous, but the inhabitants became materialistic and extremely proud. Nadia was a sitting place of scholars. Students freely debated in Nyaya and Tarka Shastras, but nobody knew the purpose of scriptural studies, love of God. People were more interested in yoga and yagya for advancement in mental faculties and physical health. This was the beginning of Kali Yuga, which brought in many immoral activities like drinking wine, meat eating, and prostitution. The only religious activity was worship of goddess Durga and other demigods. Some worshipped Vasati, the goddess identified with Chandi. Some worshipped goddess Chandi, and others arrogantly worshipped Manasa, the king of snakes. Some married and worshipped dolls. The Chakravartis, Mishras, Bhattacharya taught Bhagavad Gita, but it was devoid of proper conclusion. Selfless love for Krishna. The activities of Brahmanas were contrary to the preachings of scriptural injunctions. People spent lavishly in marriages of their children, but nowhere Lord Krishna's name was ever heard. This saddened the Vaishnavas very much. When they asked other people to chant the name of the Lord, they were laughed at by making funny rhymes to ridicule them. Seeing the people least interested in the holy name of Krishna, devotees continued to take regular bath in Ganga, practicing devotional service quietly within themselves. They shared 6 symptoms of loving exchanges with each other. The foremost among Vaishnavas was Advaita Acharya. His devotion to Krishna was the best in the 3 worlds. He worshipped Lord Krishna with tulsi leaves and Ganga water and proclaimed that only when the Lord descends can he boast to be an incarnation of Mahavishnu and sing and dance in joy. Lord Chaitanya appeared because of Advaita Acharya's plea, and he often repeated this fact. His intense attachment for Lord Krishna made him resound in exaltation, and the sound penetrated the coverings of the material world, passing the abode of Lord Brahma to enter Goloka. Sri Advaita Acharya joined the community of Vaishnavas in an attempt to make people Krishna conscious, but they only taunted and laughed back at them. Grief stricken due to people's suffering, Sri Advaita Acharya began fasting. All the Vaishnavas sighed deeply at the situation. At evenings, Srivas Thakur and his 3 brothers would loudly sing the holy name of the Lord. This angered the atheistic envious neighbors who pronounced them mad. The tyrannical Muslim rulers would tear the village apart if they heard people loudly chanting Lord's name. The Muslims threatened, if they do not stop this madness of chanting Hari Bol, we will break their house and float it down the Ganga. Only if they leave will Nadia be a peaceful place again. When the Vaishnavas heard these threats, they simply wept. Sri Advaita Acharya burnt with rage and said, I will personally make Lord Krishna appear before everyone's eyes to liberate the fallen conditioned soul. Along with you Vaishnavas, he will teach the atheists love of God. If I fail to do so, I shall manifest my fourth form and take up the disc and sever the head of all atheists. The whole of Nadia was full of superstitious renunciates and hermits, but not a single name of God ever escaped their mouths. Even the most pious in the society was seen repeating the names of Lord Govinda or Pundarikaksha only once at the time of abduction. The demigods are not pleased with activities that fail to satisfy their supreme Lord Krishna. Hence, they were unhappy too. In Brihad Sahasranam Stotra, Lord Shiva affirms, they who do not wholeheartedly take shelter of Lord Vishnu, the master of all demigods, do not attain the auspicious condition of life. Yamraj says to the Yamdutas, do not bring to me the devotees of Lord Vishnu, as I am unqualified to even touch them, because they are protected by the flood of the Lord. Lord Brahma prays to Lord Krishna in Brahma Samhita, I adore the primal Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha upon the pair of Tulali, protruding from his elephant head, in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all the obstacles in the path of progress of the 3 worlds. We all know Lord Rudra gets inimical even with his devotees if they do not surrender to Lord Hari. Ravana was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but because of being inimical to Lord Ram, Lord Shiva teamed up with Lord Ram and brought up all benedictions in the form of Lanka. All demigods in the form of monkeys joined Lord Ram. Wherever the Vaishnavas went, they served godlessness. The people burning in the fire of sense gratification. They drowned in the endless tumult of singing, dancing, music, their ears deaf to the nectarine call of the auspicious name of Lord Krishna. Struck with grief at the sight of godless society, some contemplated leaving their bodies, while others sobbed. Some lost appetite. They renounced all material comforts. Meanwhile, the Supreme Lord made preparations to descend to the material world. Lord Krishna said, "My devotees are in great distress. It is time for me to incarnate as a confidential devotee. You must all descend before me. Some of you will have to take birth in impious families with impious habits. We shall all meet at Nadia. But remember, this is a great secret." In the village of Ekachakra in the Radhadesh district of Bengal, the Supreme Lord Nityanand, incarnation of Balram, appeared. He is the Supreme Father of all living entities. He appeared as the son of Hadai Pandit and Padmavati, who were both pure devotees. Lord Nityanand's appearance in the land of Radhadesh gradually increased the district's fortune in every respect. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya appeared as the son of Jagannath Mishra in Navadvip. Jagannath Mishra was just like Vasudev or Nanda. He possessed the best of qualities. His wife, Srimati Sachi Devi, was a universal mother. Sachi Devi's 8 daughters passed away. She was left with one greatly fortunate son, Vishnu, who was the same category as Lord Balaram. He was a source of great joy to his parents. From his very birth, he was very renounced and mastered different scriptures. When the Lord appeared in the womb of Sachi Mata, all the demigods came to Nadia to offer their prayers. On the full moon night of month of Falgun, Lord made his appearance, accompanied by the congregational chanting of the holy name. The moon was eclipsed by Rahu. The ocean of the holy name inundated Nadia, drowning the darkness of Kali Yuga. The moon, in the form of Lord Gauranga, had arisen. All the 14 worlds resounded with this most amazing news. The Lord was born. Both demigods and humans danced in joy. The air resounded with the chanting of the holy names that penetrated the material universe. The demigods came to Nadia to offer their services to the Lord. Some fanned the Lord, some offered prayers, some played on the drums, and some offered prayers and obeisances. Some embraced each other in ecstasy. The Lord of their heart had ultimately arrived. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Lord Krishna in the mood and complexion of Radharani. Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki!
So I started with this so that you get all the brief understanding what context we are talking about. So today we are starting with Shri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, who actually is having his birthday appearance day today, and he is the one who made Krishna come. So if there was no Acharya, we will not be sitting here chanting about Krishna Mahamantra. So before we even start chanting, we always say this mantra: Jai Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. And then we, of course, anybody who comes first time, we always greet with Hare Krishna, and we always say Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But we are always using this Panchatattva mantra. And why do we do that? Because many a times we have our good intentions. Let's take an example of a restaurant. You come to my place to eat something, and I give you a glass of water, and my hands are not washed or glass is not clean. The end result is the water which I'm giving you, whether you notice or not, it may be actually harming you. So likewise, when we are trying to chant Mahamantra, we need to purify. So this mantra purifies that. So basically all the bad intentions or sins or whatever we are having, all karma, they get burnt by this mantra. And we are also talking about, like, if I'm giving you in all good heart, I'm giving you something, but if my hands are not clean or something I picked up while serving water to you, So that's unknown thing also comes. So likewise, when we are chanting Mahamantra, we have to be totally pure. So this mantra, Panchatattva mantra, helps us with that. And it also takes away the fears and sinful reactions which might be coming from known reasons or unknown reasons. And plus, when we are doing this, then we are actually getting cleaned enough to chant the Mahamantra. So this is the significance of this mantra. We'll be discussing more about it. What are we talking about? So I'll not get deeper into that. So about Advaita Acharya, Prabhu, it's mentioned Advaitam Hari Advaitvad Acharyam Bhakti Samshanat Bhakta Avtaram Isham Tam Advaitam Namami Aham. So I offer my obeisances unto Advaita Acharya, who is not different from Hari, who teaches devotional service and who is a Lord appearing as devotee. So now comes the question, what is the meaning of the word? Because especially in India side, whatever names we have, it always has some meaning. So Advait, the word is Advitiya. Advitiya means basically the one who does not have any second. Like in any race, you'll realize there's one person who comes first spot, then or in medals, you have gold medal, silver, and bronze. But here we are not having, there is no other person. There's only one person. So that is the meaning of Advait. And he is also not from Supreme Lord. He is actually Mahavishnu himself, who people say actually into putting simple terms, Krishna does not have to do anything himself. He is God. But when he's in office, his role is given to Mahavishnu. So we are talking about Mahavishnu. And Acharya is the person who teaches by personal example. It's good for me to say, okay, please clean this room, please clean this temple and all those things. But am I myself doing it? So he is one person who demonstrates everything by example, personal example. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself mentioned, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and he is saying about Advaita Acharya, Yo si so si namostute. Whatever you are, but I offer my respects unto you. In other words, Krishna is saying that I am accepting Sri Advaita Acharya as he is, with or without any fault. So whatever it is, I am offering my respect. And we'll see there are many pastimes in which he has demonstrated time and again. But we can imagine, let's say for a simplicity's sake, Advaita Acharya Prabhu is a simple person. But then God himself is saying that whatever he does, God is going to personally give respect to him. So we have to understand that, if nothing else. So he is one of the Panch Tattva, as we have mentioned in that. And he's coming along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityanand Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srivas Thakur. Now we might be wondering, why is it like this? But God never comes alone. He is always coming with his entire team or associates. So he is also having another name called Mangal. So whosoever is talking about him is actually getting glorified and is getting purified. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that Advaita Acharya is himself is the Krishna's devotee form. In other words, how God is telling us to respect God. So when we are looking at it, generally even in our temple, we see these pictures, and if we are lucky enough, we go to Mayapur, we see all the 5 deities. But sometimes it's difficult to figure out who are these, or like a person who's coming for the first time. Who's the person? The person who's sitting in the front or standing in the front is Krishna himself. Because in previous life, Krishna realized one thing, that there are many devotees, especially gopis and Srimati Radharani, who loved him very much. And people from Vrindavan were always totally dedicated to him. So he wanted to see what is it about God that attracts people. So to taste that mood, he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is also mentioned that God realized himself that when he says, I am God, and people should bow down, people think that this is some ordinary person and he is trying to be arrogant. So that's the people would be actually getting more offensive. But when God himself comes as a devotee and he says, let's pray to God, then people are more inclined to be favorable. So that is also another reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as a human being. So on his right side, or from our side, the one on his left side is Nityanand Prabhu, who comes in various avatars, like he is Lord Balram himself. And then Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu and Sadashiv. So that's a controversial point. But Prabhupada has also explained that in very simple words. So that's why I'm giving all these references so that you don't overload your memory with so much information. So everything is kept simple. Then he comes with Gadadhar Pandit, who Srimati Radharani of previous Rai and Lalita Sakhi. So they come in one as Gadadhar Pandit. And Srivas Thakur is none other than Narad Muni himself, the first devotee, Lord Brahma's son. So when they are coming like this, so we are praying to all these five so that we are not having any offenses. So this is why it's important for us to chant this Panchatattva Mahamantra. Advaita Acharya was born as Kamlaksh Mishra to Kuber Pandit and Nabha Devi. And his wife was Sita Thakurani. So he has 6 sons. But when we go deeper into that, we'll realize Achyutanand and Krishna Mishra, they are the ones who are seen as main. One of them remained as a brahmachari and continued pursuit of education only. The other son, he actually went to raise grihas, entered grihas ashram and raised a family, and they were coming as great devotees. So he was born in Nabogram, which is in present-day Bangladesh. Now we realize that okay, we are talking different boundaries, but if you realize it's East Bengal, West Bengal thing. Basically, East Bengal became Bangladesh, and West Bengal is in India. So now he came to Shantipura, into Nadia, which is near Mayapur itself. So there are many he had many devotees and disciples. He was in Bengal, and his place at Shantipura actually became a center where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come. Even Srila Prabhupada also went there. So actually it was his home, but it was seen as a temple or bhakti center. So Advaita Acharya, when we say Acharya, so he was telling us that bhakti is independent of caste. What does it mean? A person who is born in a so-called Brahmin family may not be considered a good devotee, but a person who is not born in a Brahmin family but in any other family but is dedicated to Lord, he is actually the Vaishnava. So in fact, Haridas Thakur, who is known as Namacharya, he was having personal relationship with Advaita Acharya Prabhu. And Haridas Thakur, by birth, as we saw in the video, was coming from a Muslim family. And he was persecuted very badly by the Shah out there or the ruler out there because he was a Muslim and he was still chanting the glories of the Lord's name. And why was he called Namacharya? Because he was chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare, 300,000 times a day. So we are seeing here, Advaita Acharya realized that the person who is actually from his heart dedicated to Lord is better than a person who is just looking from outside, supposed to be devotee. And he also believed that pure chanting is not something related to rituals. Because if I'm talking big things, but it's not reflected within my consciousness or my efforts, so it doesn't make any sense. So when Advaita Acharya Prabhu came, he realized that people were totally busy in this material enjoyment and Kali Yuga has begun, so everything was chaotic. People were just following rituals. No, I must do the sacrifice, I must do that. And then, oh, I'm such a high class person, you are such a low class person, like that. And then, even though those people who are talking about God, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself saw that there are many people who are talking about God, but they had no idea about God. They were just talking for the sake of talking. And then, when Advaita Acharya Prabhu saw this, he was very upset that he saw that people are not thinking about Krishna and they are more like animals. This is a picture which is basically, of course, we talk about extreme examples which are easy to remember. We are talking about Jagai and Madhai. Because Nityanand Prabhu, who is Lord Balaram himself, he realized that people were not kind-hearted. So he was personally going out there, and then Jagai Madhai actually hit him. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got so angry that he actually was about to show his Krishna form, and by using his Sudarshan Chakra to kill them. And that's where Nityananda Prabhu said that no, please don't. Because if you do that, then everybody is like them. So how many people you keep on killing? And that's not our purpose. Killing is not the purpose. So in that background, Advaita Acharya Prabhu we are talking about one extreme example, but Advaita Acharya Prabhu was seeing all this all the time. And once he actually complained to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Advaita Acharya Prabhu, if we go by biological age, he was quite elderly before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu appeared. So that is your Nityanand, he goes out in the marketplace and he's asked people to chant. And when they are beating, he runs away because he's strong. But I'm an old man. I'm barely managing to come safe. So he was complaining like this. So we had that type of relationship happening out there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not there, and Advaita Prabhu was feeling very sad, because a pure devotee is the devotee who is actually worried about others' affairs, especially spiritual affairs, not the personal affairs. And he realized that we require Sankirtan Yagya, but at the same time, he also realized that I'm not good enough, because this task is so overwhelming. God has to himself come. So that's why he was always praying loudly. So how he was praying, because Mayapur is near the Ganges river. So he was offering Ganges water and tulsi leaves, and he was loudly crying, pleading and challenging. Now you must be wondering that what sort of prayer is that? We are crying and then we are pleading and then challenging. The out here is that if you realize that when we are truly in love with someone, we actually express all sort of emotions. Like let's say there's a small child. We love child, but the child is not listening or getting it. So we sometimes we get angry, sometimes we shout. So these type of exchanges were happening between Advaita Acharya Prabhu and God. So it is basically not anger, because how do you challenge? And then we realize that even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was beating him. So there were many situations, but we are talking about love and urgency. When we are politely asking somebody and things are not happening, we are getting anxious. So that's the time we actually start getting aggressive, because we realize that we don't have much time. And Advaita Acharya Prabhu was very, very sad. So he was loudly calling, so that he was insisting that you have to come, because he was so intense in his request that Lord Krishna has to come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that we can get Krishna by devotion, not by my qualification. I have read so many books, I have done this, I have performed this yagya, or I am coming from the high family. Not like that. Because God is at the end looking at how sincere we are in our devotion. It is clearly mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Lord appeared because Advaita Acharya Prabhu was loudly calling about Krishna to come. So he was not coming accidentally, because Advaita Acharya Prabhu was demanding, you have to come, you better come. He was aggressively telling that. So here we realize that God is actually controlled, as Srila Prabhupada explained, by the bhakti. When we are sincere enough, then whatever we say is seen as our prayers. So we see in this picture, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there and Advaita Acharya Prabhu. He's already very old and his wife is also very old, Sita Devi. But they are serving. And he was always talking very intimately with them. And even though you'll here find very contradictory behavior, like Advaita Acharya Prabhu knew that he is God who has come because I have asked him. But he's still treating him like a devotee. And this is a devotee, I am his servant, though I know that he's God. So this was the mood. So sometimes he would praise him, sometimes criticize him, what are you doing, why are you doing like this? And he would be having arguments. So sometimes he will say, though I'm your senior, you have to listen to me. You cannot do anything just you like that. You have to do this. You have to be more sincere like that. And sometimes, okay, whatever you do, he'll be personally serving him. And many times he will pretend, because he realizes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not paying attention. So sometimes he will start saying something so that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets angry and personally chastise him. So basically he wanted to have that type of relationship with him. So we find that these relations are like quite contradictory, but those who are intensely in love with their own children, they'll realize that these are all transcendental lila, because the way we feel intensely to a child, sometimes we get angry, sometimes we are just totally overwhelmed with emotions, sometimes we are crying, we're happy. Like these type of emotions were being showed by Advaita Acharya Prabhu. And actually Chaitanya Prabhu wanted it, this type of thing to happen. That's why he was going, and sometimes he was provoking him also. So because God is Bhakta Vatsal, like who is totally affectionate to his devotee. So here Advaita Acharya Prabhu, why was taking a role where he will be beaten sometimes, or rather sometimes shouted at by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he was showing that if you are humble enough, you are having humility, that is better than having knowledge. Because if you have humility, you will get knowledge. And if you have only knowledge, you may not have humility, then you lose knowledge also. So he was performing this Sankirtan movement, and he was taking himself, if you can see this picture, he will be actively participating. It's not that I'm old, what will I do? He will be singing and dancing wherever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going. He was going to Puri and attending festivals like Rath Yatra. And he was actually, he was an initiator and he was associated with Haridas Thakur, who was one of the finest devotees who could come. In fact, Haridas Thakur was such a great devotee that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself bathed him when he left his body and then performed his last rites. And before Advaita Acharya Prabhu left his body, he always told his devotees that he would chant the names of God, qualities and pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And please don't associate with those people who are not inclined towards Krishna consciousness, those who are irreligious. He was always saying that bhakti should not end with you. It should be continuing generation after generation. Because those who are perfect devotees, they will leave this world. But those who are still having to learn, it should be shared with them so that they can also perfect their lives and they should continue. A sort of parampara should continue. And he also mentioned that devotion is not depending on what attire a person is wearing or how he appears, what nationality, what caste. And he himself demonstrated his example by looking at Haridas Thakur. And whatever he did by example. He was not being theoretical. So he also mentioned that you need not be a great scholar, but you have to be sincere. So he was showing what is pure bhakti. And this is the inspiration behind this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. So when we look at, there are some parallels between Advaita Acharya Prabhu and Srila Prabhupada. So Advaita Acharya Prabhu was talking in Mayapur lectures. He was talking about that how is Vishnu's avatar and how is transmitting bhakti. And he mentioned that Acharya is not only basically a person who just chants, but who spreads bhakti to others. Because what's the point of my knowledge if I can't share it with others? And he visited Advaita Acharya Prabhu's house in Shantipur and prayed. Basically, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving this instruction, but Srila Prabhupada realized, I'm not qualified, though he was empowered, but still he was praying at Advaita Acharya Prabhu's place that I am now facing same task as you had, and you were feeling helpless. That's why I asked God himself to come. And now I'm praying to you that please give me a sense of power so that I can fulfill my Guru's mission. So Advaita Acharya Prabhu actually represents Vishnu Tattva, though he's acting as a Bhakt. It is also indicating us in the Bheda Bhed, like he is God within and without. So he's appearing as a devotee for devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada is also reflecting the same thing, compassion. Because they both wanted to save the world through chanting. And both wanted to say that devotion is higher. It's not that I'm this person, I'm such in hierarchy. But the person who's devoted to God is more important. That's what he was saying. So if we are realizing that over a period of time, right from 7th, 8th century, then we had pure Advaita philosophy coming from Adi Shankaracharya, who was Lord Shiva himself. But he had come with a purpose so that people from previous ages who are doing miscreant things to clear that. Then we had Vishisha Advaita, where Ramanujacharya came. Then came Madhvacharya Prabhu, and then came Advaita Acharya Prabhu. So they are talking about Advaita philosophy. We are talking about that God is there as a person. It's not that God is living in some imagination. So if we have to sum up what we are talking, so basically we are talking that we have to have prayers in sincerity, because sincerity is what finally counts. And single devotee, like we see Advaita Acharya Prabhu was single devotee, but he forced God to come here. So it's not that we have to depend on others. It's depending within us. And it's not mechanical. Basically, if it is coming from heart, that's what God is seeing that. And how humble we are, that's more important. God is not looking at whether you are PhD or not. Even if you are illiterate, but you are humble enough, then God is benevolent towards you. And as a devotee, we have to look at around others, and we should not be actually looking happy at others' miseries. We always pray to service. Now, when we are praying, so are we basically looking like Advaita Acharya Prabhu? Because frankly speaking, Advaita Acharya Prabhu, he was coming from a well-to-do family, and he had no problems to live his life comfortably. But he was looking at others. That's why he was taking all those troubles, so that they are able to go back to God. So when we are praying, so we have to see that are we praying like Advaita Acharya Prabhu, or we are looking with our personal interests. So preaching basically can be done only when we are compassionate, and if we are sincere, then we can change everything. Because we can see here Krishna comes as Mahavishnu, he himself taking a servant's role. And here we realize what is the contribution of Advaita Acharya Prabhu, because we are here in ISKCON because of him. So let us pray that we develop, if we can develop little bit of faith and compassion of Advaita Acharya Prabhu and sincerity, then we'll definitely be going places. Now here, I would just like to mention one thing. There's some questions that generally come up, because I realize this topic was difficult, so I have just taken some of those questions with answers. Besides that, if you have any other questions, you could ask. But I thought that because we are always living on a tight time controls, so I'll be just focusing on those questions. These are the questions generally people ask. That if he is himself God, then why is he acting as devotee? So unless a person leads by example, people will not be either not understand or they will not be convinced. So God himself is coming here to show how devotional service to be done. Like we realize that many a time, what do you expect of a person who is retired, who's a 70-year-old coming from India to Western culture? But Srila Prabhupada not only taught Krishna consciousness, he taught how to behave in Grihast life, Grihast ashram, how to dress, how to cook, how to do devotional service. He was teaching all aspects. That's why Srila Prabhupada is Srila Prabhupada, because he was following the same example of Advaita Acharya Prabhu. And Bhagavad Gita also mentioned that what a great person does, everybody else follow. If I tell somebody, do this, it's possible. But when I show it, then the person actually develops. So we from Advaita Acharya Prabhu, we realize that God also enjoys acting as like a servant. Then some people wonder, how can you say if God, we cannot ask even our own bosses? How can we ask demand God? But the thing is that the God is independent, but when God sees sincerity and love in our hearts, then God actually reciprocates. So he was not Advaita Acharya Prabhu, he was not actually forcing God, but he was actually pleading. And he was not asking for something for himself. He was saying that please come here and help others. He was not asking for this thing. And Krishna mentions that I am controlled by my devotees. That's why he was telling Arjun that please declare this, because if I say something, I may back out. But if my devotee says, then I'll do that. So Krishna is actually controlled by bhakti. And then people say that, oh, yeah, if you are chanting, okay, so fair enough. Now, why are you shouting? Why are you just disturbing others? But the point out here is that he realized that just silent prayers is good enough. But the thing is that if you just look at some person and just say, I love you, they don't respond. But when you actually grab them by the neck, okay, I love you, then they are actually forced into action. So it was something like that Advaita Acharya Prabhu was doing. Because he was deeply compassionate, he realized, okay, if I keep waiting for God, it will take eternity. So I must wake God to come to my rescue fast. And he was totally surrendered, because he's, of course, God himself. But then he was totally intense. And then he actually wanted others to go back to God. And here it is in Shiksha Ashram is also mentioned that prayers actually come from heart. It's not a formality. Okay, I see you. Okay, namaskar, namaste. Not like that. It should come from within heart. I'm sorry?
I like the description that actually, like, because Advaita Acharya was roaring
Yes.
so loudly that it reached Vaikuntha Lok, and
Yes, exactly.
so the throne of Narayana Vishnu was shaking from the roaring of. So then he noticed, okay, my devotee is calling.
Yeah, Lion Acharya, thank you very much. It's good you pointed out. That's why I'm always happy whenever you come here, because you're always helping me. So then we say that, what is the difference? You say Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, Advaita Acharya is also God. Then what's the difference? Basically, if you realize Advaita Acharya is coming from Lord Mahavishnu, Mahavishnu is basically Krishna himself. So they are there. But they are different aspects of the same thing. Truth is same, but they are taking different roles. Like you realize that when we watch a movie, so there is one hero, and then there is villain, and then there is a comedian who just, when the things are becoming good and bad, so somebody who just maintains a buffer, so the people are still able to tolerate. So we are buffering. So there are different roles they are playing out here. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of a devotee, and Advaita Acharya is like a devotee Acharya. Basically, he is demonstrating to others. So this is basically we are talking about Achinta Bheda Vedak. Simultaneously oneness and difference. And then why is Advaita Acharya Prabhu included in Panchatattva? Because he gives mercy without offenses. Because when we are talking this mantra, we are having no offenses with us then. And he represents the creative power of God. Devotional call. Basically, he was the one who could get things done. So when we are talking, we are asking for strength. Please allow me to do this, and please forgive me if I'm doing something wrongly. That is the mood. Then why did he honor Haridas, who was a Muslim by birth? So this is demonstrate that devotion does not depend on our physical body, but our consciousness. And he recognized that pure chanting is most important. That is the highest qualification. And whosoever is, one becomes Brahmin only by quality and not by birth. And sometimes we realize that why was it challenging? Sometimes he was talking about other philosophies, materialistic things, and then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got so angry that he actually beat him up, and he was kicking him and beating. And then his wife Sita Devi actually wondered that he's an old man. Why are you jumping on him? You'll just kill him. But then, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was just reciprocating his intense feelings. The idea out here is that when you are showing such intense, so people realize that devotion is not depending on something. It's totally coming from heart. And that doesn't mean that if I'm a devotee, I'm supposed to be like a statue. I have emotions which I am expressing constructively. So when they saw this intensity, so people were actually getting involved in devotional life. And he was also teaching humility, because if you are shouting at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chastising him, so that is indicating that, okay, I'm shouting what also just to get you to do something. Because when we are shouting at child, we are not actually destroying child, but we are just trying to impose certain things for child only. And of course, this is creative living exchange, how we react with people. And basically, we also see that when we are in love, we are having freedom, not sense of fear. Like it is said that when you go to a place, when you come to a temple, you should be able to feel love, not the fear of God. So what Advaita Prabhu is actually teaching us, compassion, like what others are feeling, we should be able to feel their pain when they are not remembering Krishna. And sincerity, okay, how sincere I am, not okay, I'm supposed to say I'm saying that. No, it should come from within heart. And with responsibility. We are preaching, but not remaining silent. It's my duty to help others. That should be my thought process. And one single devotee can actually change the history. So now we are talking about Srila Prabhupada's mission. So he followed actually Advaita Prabhu's mood. He had the same intense compassion. He would be chastising devotees. He would be very angry. People sometimes would get scared. He would be so angry. And he could not see when others are getting suffering. And he was totally dedicated, chanting the holy names. So basically we see ISKCON is the result of that continuation of Advaita Prabhu, which Srila Prabhupada actually manifested. So here we are talking, why are we not praising separately? Advaita Prabhu is Mahavishnu. If we do separately, no. But the thing is, we are always talking as a team. Here we are talking as Panchatattva. When we are doing all this thing, we are worshipping, chanting, and following Mahaprabhu. So true devotees actually never diverting attention to themselves. They don't want, okay, you pray, they say you pray to God. So we are talking about compassion. So when we are having compassion and we are praying, then that's the time God is actually responding. So this is where Advaita Acharya comes very close to us. He shows that bhakti is not about perfection, it's about sincerity. And one devotee crying sincerely changed the course of history. And Srila Prabhupada taught us that preaching does not begin with strategy, it begins with compassion. And even Mahavishnu accepted a humble role just to teach devotion. So when we pray, Are we demanding mercy from for others like Advaita Acharya Prabhu? He was demanding, please be merciful towards other devotees. Or are we negotiating for our own comfort with Lord Krishna? So without Advaita Acharya Prabhu, there is no Mahaprabhu. Without Mahaprabhu, there is no Sankirtan movement. And without the mercy, without that mercy, we would not be here. Thank you very much. If there's any question or comment, please. And I'm